We're going to head to the country almost for New South Wales racing this weekend with Kembla Grange hosting the Rosehill meeting. We've got Brad Gray in from Sydney to do the form for us. Brad, just tell us nuances of Kembla Grange as opposed to Rosehill. How much of a difference will it make to the way the race day plays out?
Yeah, we're calling it country. A little bit rough to start with. It's not that far away. It's only about 40 minutes from my house. But no, it's a track that's pretty big. It's pretty spacious and it's pretty fair. We saw them race there a couple of weeks ago. The only difference this week is it was a rattling surface a fortnight ago where the track records were falling all over the place. But this week we've had a bit of a downpour of rain. The last couple of days, fingers crossed, has been a lot better. As I speak to you, we're in the soft range. As I look out the window now, it's still shining brightly, the sun. So I know there's a little bit of a tip for some rain later in the day. But if we avoid that, I think we'll be on the better side of soft.
Okay, can you give us a bit of a geography lesson? And roughly how big would Kembla Grange be city-wise?
Oh, geez, I got no idea, to be honest. Absolutely no idea. Geography is not my strong point.
Nor mine. Hence why I was calling it country, obviously. 3 Group 3 races there. The first of them we want to have a look at is the San Domenico Stakes. Obviously, our boys' sort of stake comes out, but you've got the slipper winner in there staying inside and what looks to be a really strong race, albeit in small numbers.
Yeah, it's a really strong little field, isn't it? This is going to have a big bearing in terms of the Golden Rose field and how it shapes up as far as the market goes anyway. But as you say, all eyes will be on stay inside. All the talk during the week has been Golden Slipper record. The record of Golden Slipper winners first up is pretty ordinary. But he doesn't know that, does he? He's not sitting in his box wondering what's going on in terms of past Slipper winners. But everything indicates that he's come back really well. That's all you can go off. His trials have been fantastic. The stable says he's that little bit stronger. And the good thing about him as a 2-year-old was that every time we saw him, and he only had 4 starts, was he just got that little bit better, which makes him so exciting because we still don't know where his ceiling is. So am I excited to see him back? Bloody oath. Can I back him at $2.30? No, not with stolen money. So it's one of those ones where we're not going to really know where he stands until after Saturday, which isn't helpful really in terms of giving you a leg up as far as a tip goes in the race. But the one I've sided with is in the Congo. Now that's purely on the basis of the odds because I think the market has missed him. He's a double figure chance here. He went around in the Rosebud and he was just as luckless as Remark. Plurley was impressive. There's no denying that, but he's pretty well found at around that $2.90 quote, $2.80. Some places have got him even shorter. But in the Congo, did SP $4.20. He had no luck. And he's the one that's been brushed by the market. So going on a pure odds perspective, I think he's the bet in the race because he'll lead. He's got 53.5, Tim Clark, and he'll give some kind of sight. So each way, if you want to play in the race, I think he's the way to go.
Okay, liking that. And the 3-year-olds with more sort of staying prowess go around in the Ming Dynasty of the 1,400 metres. How did you assess that one?
Yeah, it's a tricky little race, this one as well. So you've got Coast Watch as your favourite. I think he's short enough. There's probably a little query around the depth of the up-and-coming. Now, Tiger of Malay was too good there, and he's a pretty fair horse. But 8 kilos he gave Coast Watch, and Coast Watch still couldn't beat him. So I've looked a little bit outside the obvious, I guess you could say, with Head of State now, or not Head of State, Military Expert, the one under Head of State. Now, Military Expert does come off a maiden win at Newcastle, which generally isn't a great progression straight into a group race. But his form prior to that was really good. He finished alongside Coast Watch a couple of starts ago. He went to the line with King of Sparta on debut, and King of Sparta's come out and done some good things since then. And when you look at the map in this race, there's very little speed here. So I think with 53.5 and stepping out to 1,400 metres for the first time, he's going to appreciate that slower tempo, be able to find his feet and give a kick. So he's a horse I've been waiting for a little while to get out just over a touch further because one of the best parts about his races to date has been how strong he is across the line. So I think he'll relish it, and he's certainly found the right setup here to excel.
Okay, nice. And the other Group 3 on the card is the Premier's Cup over 2,000 metres, and it does feature the Kiwi horse Thinker in there as well. Can you firstly give us a little bit of a guide on how he sits into the field before giving us your assessment of the race?
He's a bit Jekyll and Hyde, isn't he, Quick Thinker? On his day, when he gets conditions to suit, he could very well win this race. First up, he did absolutely nothing, but it was a very firm track at Hawkesbury, and he was beaten 20 lengths. And there's not too many horses in training where you'd be pretty confident that he could potentially turn that form right around and win a race at his subsequent start with conditions to suit. And a touch at the top, we're on a track with a little bit of give out of it. I think he'd probably appreciate a heavy track, but at least it allows him the opportunity to get his toe in the ground. I think that's certainly key for him. So I've got him in the mix somewhere at the odds. I haven't got him on top. I've got HARPO MARX as the horse to beat. Now, I know he jumps from Benchmark Company into a group race, but these stayers you find certainly in Sydney and probably around Australia, there's not a big difference in terms of benchmark stayers and then the group stayers. When you get to the sprinting ranks, it's a completely different story, but there's not a big discrepancy in terms of talent at once you get out to 2,000 metres and beyond. So HARPO MARX, he's the hard fit horse in the race. He's right down in the weights, and I think if he's ever going to crack a race like this, the timing is absolutely spot on for him. The other runner that's fascinating is Dashing Willoughby. He's a horse that's really caught the eye in his trials. He's a 2-miler, but looking at his trials, you'd think he'd be going for the Everest, not necessarily a Metropolitan. He's been really sharp. And Chris Waller, James McDonald, great barrier. So if the money continues for him, certainly pay plenty of respect to that horse. But on top, I've got HARPO MARX.
Another former Kiwi in that race is No Compromise. He looks to be in pretty consistent form. How does his form measure up into this race?
He is a similar profile to HARPO MARX. So he's been knocking around largely in benchmark races, but he's a hard fit horse. And the wet track is certainly something that plays into his hands. So I can see him playing a role as well. This is a really deep race, and it's a quaddie leg. You have to go nice and wide.
Okay. What's the pick of the day? What's the Bragg Grey Mail?
The best of the day for me comes up in race 10. So we'll have to be patient and save our pennies until the lucky last. But race 10, number 13, Yee, Chris Waller, James McDonald. This horse was rolled at $1.50 last start at the midweeks. However, the wet track is absolutely crucial to his chances. With his 2 wins prior to that, when the cut was out of the ground, he was outstanding. Gave the impression he was a horse that could really tear through his grades. Last start back onto a firmer surface, just didn't let down. So now he's got the fire out of the track a little bit. I expect him to bounce back to his best form, and that goes very close in a race like this.